Ev to Phil, August 19, 1941. Sweetheart of mine, I was overjoyed to receive 2 letters from you this morning. They were more than welcome, although the contents were discouraging. I can't understand why my letter failed to reach you on Saturday. I mailed it early. You probably received 2 letters, as I did. I hated to learn that you had, quote, worked like a horse, unquote. I hate to be enjoying myself while you are working, or vice versa. I'd like to be with you to enjoy the things you enjoy and be sad with you when you are sad. That is my idea of love and devotion. It can never be so while we are apart. Phil, sweet, I love you and miss you so much. Sometimes, for no apparent, page 2, reason, I find tears rolling down my cheeks. It is then that I long most for the shelter of your arms and a sweet kiss. That lonely feeling seems to engulf me all at once, and then I feel utterly helpless and miserable. Life without you is so unbearably uninteresting and boring. I must force myself to display interest in my undertakings. The only place that affords me any relief is the movies, but then I don't have the money. I'm anxiously awaiting this weekend. Come on Friday. It is bleak, dark, and drizzly today. A fitting background for your lonely Chip. Maybe it is the darkness before the dawn and your discharge. I wrote the above at 10:30 a.m. It is now 6:30 p.m. Page 3. And we have finished with supper. You are probably dying to hear what happened at the board. Well, we won. They are in favor of having you released, but don't know how to go about it. One of the men said something about taking Harry, but Harry, gave them a good answer. We all had a good laugh. Those guys at the board are so dumb, it's a pleasure. I'll save the dirty details for the weekend. Oh yes, in way of celebration, I broke the glass plate under the ice cubes in the refrigerator. It was an accident, but a good omen. I wonder what Mom will say. Both Jack and Harry got very nice, page 4, statements from their bosses. Incidentally, Mr. Hiley was at the meeting, and all he did was read a newspaper. I'm going to call Mrs. Westing first thing in the morning and inform her of our victory. I don't think it will be very long now, so cheer up, sweet. I'm very, very tired this evening. I think I worked too hard today. I'm happy, though. I hope you aren't too worn out from night maneuvers to appreciate this information. How do you feel, sweet? I'll bet you've lost more weight. Write as soon as possible and let me know if you received the $5. Looks as though the V in my love for you stood for victory. It's only the first step, but I'm sure we'll win. I hope this news makes you happy and holds you until you see your honey Evelyn. Phil to Evelyn, Tuesday, August 19th, 1 p.m. Ev, my darling, I just came back from the infirmary where E Company just got their first shots of tetanus toxoid. This makes the second time in 2 days that I visited the medicos. Last night we had a maneuver, and what a maneuver. We marched 14 miles to an assembly point, arriving about 12 noon. After lunch, we laid around in a pine woods until 6, when we had supper. That is, everyone else had supper. I passed. About 5 p.m., I developed a splitting headache that was so painful it made me dizzy, literally. With it, I had an attack of nausea. As if this weren't enough, I was painfully chafed from sitting around on the damp ground. Knowing that this was just the beginning of the maneuver, and feeling that it would be the sensible thing to do, I reported to Lieutenant Miller. He sent me to the medico major, but it was already dark in the woods, and all was confusion. Trucks were struggling to get back on the road from the woods in which they had been hidden. Officers and non-coms were all over the place shouting orders and trying to get order out of the chaos. Amid all this, yours truly, as sorry a figure as you would want to see, roamed around looking for the major. After a miserable half hour, I gave it up as a bad job. Finally, I was lucky enough to locate the sergeant of medicos and told him my troubles. He told me to go back to Camp Meade on the first truck back and report to the infirmary. The first truck back was to go back at 3:30 a.m. So I got all my stuff together, threw it in the truck, and myself after it. I dozed off. When I awoke, I was again among my own platoon who were being taken to their positions by the same truck. Just as we reached the position, 2 a.m., our truck broke down and the fellows had to get out, climb a hill that was just short of perpendicular, and settle down for the rest of the morning in their positions. We had no sooner gotten the truck fixed and started on our way back when it started to pour rain. Since we were driving without lights through thick woods and the downpour was heavy, it was, page 2, pretty tough going, and the truck fairly crept along. However, everything must end, and we finally ran out of woods onto a main highway where we could use our lights. As soon as I got into the barracks, I dropped my gear and walked over to the infirmary, where I reported and got some tablets to straighten me out. Then I went to bed. Never was my bunk so welcome. The rain, which had stopped for a while, started again, in as great volume as before. I felt very, very sorry for my buddies out there in the wilderness, but this didn't stop me from falling asleep almost immediately. 3:30 a.m. At 7:30 a.m., the boys came in, and it woke me. I felt completely recovered. The soldiers, poor suckers, looked like drowned rats, and no wonder. I received your letters of Friday and Saturday on the field yesterday, and your letter of Monday this morning. They were most welcome, sweet, especially the last one, if you know what I mean. It made me feel good to know that you're getting around and everyone is going out of his way to see that you are not always alone. But how do you feel, baby? You neglect to mention the most important thing. It pleases me, too, to know that Mom is feeling better and enjoying herself. And now the last news, which is the best news. Like a good showman, I want to leave my audience smiling at the curtain. The application for discharge is on its way through channels. It just reached regimental headquarters, affidavits and all. Where it came from or where it is going now, I have no way of knowing, but it's immensely reassuring to know that action is being taken. What's more, I feel confident that the verdict will be in my favor, especially since the restrictions have been loosened have been loosened considerably. I can't say just when I'll be home, dear, but I hope it's Friday. Thanks for the $5 and the stamps, even though I can't imagine where you got the money. Keep plugging, baby, and take care of yourself, for yourself and your ever-loving Phil.